Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be doing a very long-awaited video. I've been meaning to do this video for like literally 6 months. But today is part 1 of that. It is my houseplant tour. So I have decided to split this whole houseplant tour up into several different videos, purely because I have like 150 plants at this point, and I think trying to talk about all of them in one video would mean the video would be like 3 hours long. And as much as I would like to put out a full-length, feature-length film for you, I don't actually want to do that at all. So I'm going to go room by room, showing you what plants I have where, how they're set up, telling you about each and every one of them throughout my entire collection. And so this is part 1, the living room. I'll be posting these videos every Sunday at 9 AM UK time for the next month, I guess, 4 weeks. So set your calendars every Sunday morning for the next month. I will have a houseplant tour going up. So yes, I'm very, very, very excited to show you all of my plants. If you don't know me already, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplant journey and learn something along the way, stick around, watch more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. Right, let's get into the tour. So this is my living room, featuring a sleeping Cleo in the corner, and I'm going to show you all these plants. I think I'm going to start over here on my sideboard with all these beautiful plants, and I'll start here with the philodendron fat boy. It is just an absolute gorgeous plant, and like, look how big these leaves are. They're like the size of my forearm. This one, holy cow, it's like most of my arm's length. It's just huge, and it just takes up so much space, and I just absolutely freaking love it. I love the vibes it gives off. I think it's my biggest plant right now, or one of my biggest, and I absolutely love it. I just love the way it really transforms that corner, because I feel like without it, it would look quite empty. Like, there's a lot of plants there, but it would look quite empty. Going up, we have my ZZ Raven. I am loving this new little sprout that's popped out. It's my first sprout in a couple of years. I've honestly been somewhat neglecting this plant over the past couple years, and because ZZs can tolerate low light, they don't thrive in it, but they can tolerate it. I've just been kind of leaving it in a dark corner, which probably hasn't been the best for it, but now it is doing pretty well, and it's got, even if it's tiny, a little new sprout there, which I'm very, very, very excited about. Behind the philodendron fat boy, we have my Cebu Blue, Epipremnum pinnatum, and it is just on a moss pole. Y'all have seen this one quite a lot lately. I feel like I've been talking about it a lot just because I absolutely love it. The sort of blue hue of these leaves is stunning, and they do come out a little bit greener, which always scares me. And I'm like, oh, my Cebu Blue's reverting, which I don't think it can, but my brain's like, it is. So I always get worried when a new leaf pops out and it's a little bit green, but it's doing really well. It's nearly at the top of the moss that I've put in this pole, so I'm going to have to put some more moss in there very, very soon, or chop it, but I think I want to put more moss in. But you can tell the leaf size has changed dramatically since I put it on the pole. Like, these tiny little leaves down here were what it was before, and then they're just getting so much bigger as it's going up, which is amazing, and I'm just obsessed with it. Definitely one of my favorite plants in my entire collection. Right in front of it is my Anthurium crystallinum, and it is also doing really well. This is that like one leaf that was my first like really big leaf on it. It just recently came out with this leaf as well, and it came out with that while it was in inflorescence, which was really surprising. Unfortunately, I don't think the inflorescence like went anywhere. It kind of died off before going into the male stage. It was really weird. It just stayed sticky the entire time. It didn't really give me any pollen. It was very, very strange, but anyways, I absolutely love this one. I think its sparkly contrast veins are amazing. Oh, just look at that. It's like a little starburst of light coming out of that point. I'm obsessed. I think this is probably, yeah, this is definitely my favorite Anthurium in the minute, so I love it. I'm obsessed. down here, let me pull this out one second. In this little container, we have a bunch of Sea Blue wet sticks that I got from my friend who was moving. As you can see, there are some that are rotting in there, but it's also producing a lot of new growth. And I honestly haven't opened this since I put them in, so I should probably take some of these out because the lid is probably squishing them a little bit. But they're just doing really well. They're kind of living in front of a grow light, so I think they're really, really liking that. But yeah, I feel bad putting the lid back on now. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll sort this out right after filming this video. We then have a couple of plants that I recently imported from Aroid Market. This was the Dieffenbachia yellow variegated. Unfortunately, that really nice leaf that was going a tiny bit yellow in the video did die off. So it's kind of a one leaf wonder at the minute, but it's just living in perlite. And here's the Paraiso Verde. It did lose that other big leaf, so it's just chilling with two. Hopefully I get some new growth in there soon. I decided not to put either of these in acclimation boxes, mostly because they didn't fit, but I'm also just trying to see if I can acclimate them just straight into my flat. Just give it a go, because why not? These two are living fairly close to my grow light, so I have one Plant Spectrum 16 grow light there that's kind of just pointing at that whole corner. It doesn't light loads because it's quite far and it's not the biggest of light, but it suffices for kind of lighting these things here, which is kind of all I'm asking for. I don't need a lot out of it. But if you're curious about these lights, I will be posting a video about testing these lights very, very, very soon, which is very exciting. And then I've got a couple of things on this tray, which I'm technically not supposed to. This is supposed to be our drinks tray, but sometimes it gets converted into a plants tray. Here I have a couple of things from my Green Spaces import that I have graduated from the acclimation box. This is the Florida Ghost, which is just putting out a new leaf now. Oh, I just unstuck it. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Not intentional. But it's putting out a new leaf now. Then also, we've got some Epipremnum Kujang here. Both one that's propping in some water, and then the top cutting that is in moss. And the top cutting is doing really, really well, actually. I'm pretty sure it's properly rooting in there, which is amazing. And unfortunately, I think Cleo did just chew this leaf up a little bit, which isn't ideal because like they're kind of toxic, but I'll be more careful with that and not let her chew this anymore, because those aren't the nice holes that it makes like this. Those are Cleo holes, unfortunately. Next to the grow light, I have my absolutely huge variegated green Maranta. Do you see the size of those leaves? They're just stunning. I am so freaking proud of this plant. Unfortunately, it does have a little bit of burn there from where it was touching the grow light in its old spot, hence why I moved it. But it has just grown so well for me. I cut this back to absolutely nothing, literally like stumps in some pond, and it is growing so well. Like, I've got multiple new leaves on the way, and the variegation on them is absolutely stunning. And I'm obsessed with how big these leaves are. I've never seen Marantas with such big leaves. And so it feels so nice to have such a big, beautiful plant. And I can't wait to watch it continue to grow. This is my Mandula Pothos, or Happy Leaf, that I very recently put on this moss pole. I joined two Mandulas together to put on the pole because I wanted it to be like super bushy and just like climb the nice fat pole that I've got here. But I think they're doing really well since the repot. I don't think they're quite grown into it yet because it's only been about a week, but so far they're not unhappy with the move. They're not showing any signs of stress, which is really important to me. I've got a tiny little plant in a bell jar. So this here is a Syngonium propagation that I'm doing, and I can never remember the name or how to pronounce it. It is a tiny little variegated Syngonium with these tiny, tiny, tiny little white leaves, and I just think it's absolutely stunning. It's kind of looking like tricolorish. I know it's not a tricolor, but there's definitely 3 colors in there, so it's very exciting, and it's just living in some moss, and it has been. I got this as a single leaf, I think maybe just this leaf, from Happy Plant Collector, and I'm just obsessed with it. It's so tiny, and I just like love getting to watch it grow in its bell jar to boost the humidity. So that is everything on the sideboard. I'm actually really loving how the sideboard looks at the minute. It's quite full, and then I think once this grows up a little bit further, I can extend the moss pole and kind of bring it up to the ceiling a little bit more and frame the mirror. But I just think it looks really nice. I should also mention about the sideboard that I have this Hectar grow lamp. Well, it's a Hectar lamp from IKEA that I got secondhand, and then I put Sansi grow bulbs in, and 2 of them are pointed over at these plants. Because the Sansi bulbs are super duper strong, they can handle being a little bit further away from the plants, but I think these ones here are enjoying that little bit of extra light. The other bulb points down at this sort of area underneath our TV, which has some kind of shorter plants so as to not block the TV, but this light doesn't go on as much because it usually goes on in the evening, and if we're watching TV, we turn it off because we don't really want to have it blast light straight on the screen because then we can't see what we're watching. But down here I've got lots of plants. So here's another one I took out of the acclimation box recently. It had graduated. It is my Syngonium Grey Ghost Green Splash, and I'm just obsessed with it. I'm so glad it's finally graduated and I get to look at it every single day now because it is beautiful and I just want to stare at it constantly, so now I get to, which is amazing. Behind it, I have a Hoya Crimson Queen on a trellis. This one hasn't grown that much lately. I'm not exactly sure why. I've probably not been watering it as much as it needs to be, but it's still an absolutely gorgeous plant. I love the sort of white edges around the leaves, and I'm hoping that I can eventually get it to grow up the trellis nicely, because it's got a lot of space on there to fill up. But I still love it, and I still spray it with orchid mist pretty regularly to hopefully get it to flower one day. Maybe. We'll see. So next to that I have another Hoya. This is a Hoya Carrii Reverse, and it's a heart-shaped leaf Hoya. It's got 3 leaves. Can't really see one, it's behind there. But I love how it's got the sort of like lighter variegation in the middle compared to the normal Hoya Carrii Variegata that has the light around the outside. So I think it's just really cute, and for the longest time it didn't do anything. I got this plant in January of this year and it's only just started to do something. Let me zoom in to see if you can see. But you see that little stumpy thing there? That is some new freaking growth, which is super exciting, and I'm really excited to see how it grows and how it pops out some hopefully new leaves. Maybe some flowers? Who knows? I'll take what I can get. In front of that I have a couple water propagations. I have my Maranta Fascinator, or Red Maranta. It's just in some water, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. I've chopped this off my main plant because the main plant was dying for some reason. I don't know, was it getting root rot? Was it in too dark of a location? I'm not sure why it was dying, but I basically chopped and propped as security cuttings and got rid of the bottom bit, and now I've just got some props, which I'll eventually put up in some pond probably. And then in my little propagation test tubes, I've got that peperomia leaf that I showed you recently, and you can see how much more it's grown in the time since I filmed that last video with it, which was like, what, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago? It's just doing so well in water, and I'm still surprised that it's growing like this, seeing as it grew other babies previously and then I cut it shorter and now it's growing more. So I almost have an infinite supply of this peperomia. This is something I'm actually really freaking proud of. So this is my rubber plant. I saved this from spider mite death. Basically, in the old flat, it got spider mites and I didn't notice until it was way too late and it had dropped so many leaves. So I tried to treat it, it didn't work, and I ended up chopping like the tops of the stems and propagating those in some perlite, and it took ages for it to root, but it finally did, and I popped it in some soil and it's doing so well now. This leaf is 100% new. I can't remember if this leaf was there before or not, but either way, this leaf that came out is stunning, and it's got so much more variegation than the previous ones. I think it's just in such a better spot than before, and I'm really, like, because it's smaller, I can kind of put it where it's best, easier than when it was like really big before. This is a Syngonium albo, my original Syngonium albo, and to be honest, it's not grown in probably a year, and I have no idea why. Absolutely no clue. It's just been stuck on like 4 leaves for ages. It's got some nice variegation in it. This leaf not so much, but this leaf is stunning, and like the mottling in it is amazing, and I really like it, so I want it to grow, but I'm not sure I'll be able to. I might chop and prop it to get some growth back. This is my begonia. I'm pretty sure it's just Immaculata or polka dot begonia, but it is stunning. It is the first begonia I've ever gotten to be able to like grow for me, and I think the answer is neglect. Neglect and pawn. It's just been living in pawn this entire time, and I actually ignore it, which feels really weird. I'm used to caring for my plants, but if you like being ignored, I will ignore you. I might stake it at some point because it's starting to like lean over a lot, and I could maybe, ooh, if I prune it, maybe it'll branch out. That's exciting. Maybe I'll try and do that. I'm just glad that it's still alive, because all of the begonias I've ever had have just like dried up for literally no reason, and I don't know why. So yeah, that's fun. Next to that is my Epipremnum pinnatum green form, the classic, and it's lovely. I like it, but like it's a little bit boring. I feel bad saying that about a plant, but it's just your average plant, and that's just about it. I mean, it's nice and it's growing well, so that's all I can ask for. This snake plant here is a Sansevieria, I think Black Flame, Silver Flame, one of the two. And it is one of my favorite Sansevierias. I know they're technically Dracaenas, but Sansevieria for life, guys. Way better sounding than Dracaena. But I love it, and it's actually grown pretty well as well. I think when I got it, this pup in front was just like those two maybe, but now it's going all the way up there, which is amazing, and I'm really happy with how it's growing. It's slow, but it doesn't need to be fast, and it's encroaching on the TV, so I don't want it to grow too fast. So inside of my little prop box there, I've got a couple things. I've got a cup full of Cebu Blue cuttings. As you can tell, I've got a bajillion Cebu Blues at the minute, and I'm not mad because I freaking love them. But they're doing pretty well. A lot of them are rooting in there, and a lot of them are growing new growth as well, so very happy with that. And then I have my little tray of plants in pawn that I got from Josie, Sir Plantsalot. I will write the names on the screen of what all of them are. They're just all in a big pawn reservoir together. These little aeroid tower pots, mini ones, I think they're the 5 centimeter ones. You can fit 6 of them perfectly in a takeaway container. So that's what I've done, and they're all just sharing that reservoir. Now we're gonna move up to the top of the cabinet. I'm not actually going to talk about inside of the cabinet today because it's so full that I think it deserves a tour within itself. There's so many plants in there, and I can talk about them for ages, just like I can talk about these for ages. So I think that's going to be next week's video. So tune in again next week at this time to see my IKEA greenhouse cabinet tour. But for now, we go to the top of it. So I'm just standing on our like ottoman thing. But this is the top of the cabinet. I've actually recently cleaned it off because it was getting super dusty and did a bunch of rearranging. We have a few things at the back. We have a typical snake plant, a mother-in-law's tongue, Sansevieria, and then a Sansevieria moonshine next to it with this little baby, which is adorable. I could probably divide that off. At this point, it's quite a full pot. I honestly have just left it, and it's been going mental and growing so much that it probably does need either a bigger pot or for me to take out some of the smaller babies it's gotten there. In front of them is my Maranta Silver Band, which I'm still obsessed with. I think it is absolutely stunning. This sort of leaf pattern is goals. And I just love how it looks with the sort of texture difference between the snake plants and the Maranta, the sort of round versus pointy and spread out versus going up. I think it's a really, really nice contrast of textures. Also, both of these types of plants are fairly easygoing and don't need that much light or faffing really, so they're great for up here because they're a bit harder for me to reach than some of my lower down plants. I've got these two plants up here, which I think this is just a temporary holding ground for them until I find the right spot for them. This is my Scindapsus tricolor that I got for my birthday, and I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's one of my highest wish list plants, and so I still can't believe that it exists in my collection. I think these leaves are absolutely stunning, and like the three colors you can see in there are just fabulous, and I can't wait to watch it grow, and hopefully it grows well for me. And then the other plant I got for my birthday, which was also a wish list plant, is the Maranta No ID Cat Mustache. And I also love this one so, so much. It's just in some pond right now. Hopefully it's doing okay. Eventually I'll get it a pot that can be an actual better reservoir than this kind of ugly cup, but for now, the ugly cup it will be, and it's doing so well. It's growing a bit of new growth in there, which I'm super excited about. Means it's happy. Oh, there's another one there too. Oh, it's amazing. Oh my god, I'm so glad it's growing so well. Next to that, I have this plant still. I know it's been literally months, like 6 months since I was supposed to have traded this away. Something unforeseen came up and they weren't able to go, and so I wasn't able to give this to them. I am hoping to get down to their home soon-ish, but it is a little bit of a trek, so we will get there eventually, but this will get to its rightful owner. It is a Anthurium pulchense, by the way, which I got from Equigenera ages ago, and it did just put out this leaf, which promptly dried. This is the first new leaf that came out after it left the cabinet, so I think the decrease in humidity kind of caused it to dry out, which is a bit unfortunate, but hopefully it acclimates well and will give me newer, better leaves soon. Running down the side of the cabinet, I have a couple of string of hearts plants. I have my normal string of hearts at the back, the non-variegated one, and it's doing really well. I have chopped and propped it loads, and you can see it's really nice and dense right in there, and it goes down quite far. It's probably about 90 centimeters or a meter in length, and I'm getting like bits of new growth here and there that are shooting off, which is great. And I'm hopefully gonna chop and prop some more to hopefully get it to be a little bit fuller soon, but I'll do that maybe in a month's time. The one in front of it, the variegated one, definitely needs a chop. It is going all the way down, literally to the point of the TV stand. It is over a meter, and it just needs a bit of a haircut, so I'll probably end up chopping it there. That's a nice length of plant, so I'll chop it there and then propagate the bottom ones to put back in the top, because it is a little bit sparse looking on top. And this one too, I really want to get to be super full and lush. And I think I do like this one a little bit more than the normal one, because the little hearts come in a little bit pinky, which I find proper cute. And I think I did lose a little bit of variegation somewhere. Like around here, it's not the most variegated, but it kind of, yeah, it kind of goes away completely down here, which is just another excuse for me to chop and prop. So I can do that. I can hopefully regain some of this variegation. This, it's kind of hard to show because it's so freaking big, is my Monstera Albo cutting. I know, does this look like a cutting? No, it's freaking huge and gorgeous, but it is large for Monstera, which I absolutely freaking love. But it's just chilling in some moss at the minute. It hasn't grown that much since I've had it, slash at all. It's got some pretty nice roots on it, but it's not had any new growth. I did put some cakey paste on it recently, but I haven't seen anything really yet that's noteworthy, so who knows if that will work. If I can get it to sprout from a new growth point, that would be amazing. If not, it's just some pretty decoration for a little while. On the windowsill, I've got my Stephania erecta. I recently moved it out of the cabinet to see if I can get it into some higher light and hopefully get it to grow a bit more compact. so I put it on the windowsill. This does get a little bit of sun, so I do have to move it throughout the day to make sure it's not getting too much direct sunlight and getting burnt. But I'm just keeping an eye on it until I find like a good space for it where it gets like really bright indirect light all day. And then the last part of the living room is this little sunny corner. This is the area where I put my sun tolerating plants. I have my big bird of paradise, which is actually my biggest plant. It has just been thriving here, and it's actually putting out 2 new leaves. There's one that's there, which kind of unfurled really low. So, oh my god, 3 new leaves. Oh, even freaking better. So there's that one there. There's one here, and there's this one here. So hopefully all of these pop out soon. I think it's loving the sun and the heat that it's getting, and it's really, really, really close to the southwest facing windows, so I'm sure it freaking loves that. And then on the windowsill here, I've got 3 little plants. I have, first up, this Sansevieria Mikado that Joe and I got from IKEA on our second date, which I freaking love. It's grown so differently than to how I bought it. We bought it with just these long, tall ones, and now it's kind of growing in like half moon shapes, which I'm not mad at because it looks pretty cool, but it's just different. It's just a little bit of a silly one. I've got a tiny pot of lithops here. I don't think I've ever shown these on my YouTube. I got it in a plant rescue box that was kind of a fail on my Patreon. And so if any of you want to go see that, go join my Patreon. But I got these lithops, and to be honest, I don't know if they're dead or not. I cannot tell. They never change. And so I just continue watering them as if they're alive, and they haven't like dried up too much yet, so they might be alive. Behind it, I have my jade plant, and to be honest, it's not doing that great at the moment. The tops of the branches are doing really, really well, but down the bottom, I think it got a bit sun stressed and dehydrated, so the leaves started to wrinkle, and I've watered it since, and the wrinkling just hasn't gone away, so I don't know if it's the happiest or not. It does have a couple of babies in there though, which is exciting, so even if the mother plant doesn't work out, maybe I can just propagate the babies and start again. So that is kind of it for my living room, but I do want to go into my kitchen really quickly because I do have just 2 plants in there, so I figured I'd lump them in with this one, but let's go have a look. So these are my kitchen plants. I just have 2 in here, like I said. I've got my Alocasia Polly, which I recently repotted, and I'm hoping that it helps it grow a little bit more. It's just got 3 leaves, and it's not looking its best right now, but it's fine. I think it kind of likes this space, but it's probably a little bit too dark for it. This is a northwest facing window, and so it's not getting the most light throughout the day, only occasional bits of like afternoon dappled light, but as you can see there's a tree right outside, so that kind of blocks quite a lot of it. And next to that we have this Dracaena White Jewel. I think this is a pretty fantastic plant. I think it's gorgeous and spiky, and it looks like something out of a Dr. Seuss novel, and I just think it's really, really fun, and I love the variegation on these leaves. Those sort of stripes are super satisfying. Like, they're kind of like racing stripes almost. And I just think it's really pretty, and I think it's actually really happy here. Dracaenas in general don't need tons and tons and tons of light, so it's pretty fine. And it has definitely grown since it's been in this spot, so I'm definitely not worried about it at all. So that is it. That is my living room houseplant tour. I'll be sure to link all of the other ones down below in the description when they come out, / the days they're coming out if they're not out already. Next week, we're going inside my IKEA greenhouse cabinet where I keep all of my prized, more uncommon, expensive, and typically a little bit more sensitive houseplants. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, or if you see any plants in here that you'd like me to make a video on that I haven't already, let me know and I can hopefully do that for you. And yeah, subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!